Vice President.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. This is the chair's meeting for April 2022. So we'll dive right in to our agenda. Why don't we start off with the Parks and Public Works update? Anything to report, Chair Pio?
Sure. Some things that I am working with for PPW that would be of concern or something that other people would probably find interesting. I would like to change street parking time to 2 p.m. instead of 6 to 7 p.m. I feel like a lot of people are getting tickets because they have to cross the streets in the middle of the night, not in the middle of the night, but they get home from work, helping kids with schoolwork, getting dinner ready, and then they got to go outside and change the side of the street that they're parked on. I just think that if we did the right thing and made street parking to change over at 2 p.m., it wouldn't interfere with people's livelihoods, and we charge less fees for our people that need the most help. Another thing I'm working on is that we discussed was more pedestrian wayfinding kiosks. I was in Louisville about 2 months ago, and they actually had people riding on bikes, riding around, telling people, asking if they needed help, finding something, ways to the nearest restaurant or bar or something like that. I think that having an interactive directory outside of just downtown, maybe put one down near the beach, near the Visit Rock area, along the waterways with some information on there as well. We discussed it where we wouldn't need to update the information. We can have it as like a QR code so people can just take a picture of it and it goes directly to a website. And that website we would just keep updating. So it'd be a lot less expensive to keep updating that signage. The trails, one concern of mine in particular, but I've heard from other people that was a concern, was our trailways do not get plowed in the wintertime, and some people actually do use it to get to and from work or play or whatever it may be. So trying to find they're looking at different materials to make it so that we can create the multi-use trails out of that different material so that we wouldn't need to look at plowing, because plowing would create ice problems, they say. So looking at different types of materials, it is something that in certain areas we may be looking at doing like heated sidewalks. So if we can harness the power of the moving water to create the electricity to heat the sidewalks on the multi-use trails, that'd be huge. So these are all things that we're in conversations about, and hopefully it'd be something in the future that would be more beneficial to our families. That's it for me, though.
Great, thank you. Public safety this month, obviously everyone knows we didn't have much by way of legislation, and no legislation this month. But I do want to share something from one of our committee members. So Councilmember Martin, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but we've been working on this introductory 113, trying to reduce the cost for credit card services. And the first part of the update I'll give, which is with the current vendor, the administration has been able to work to get it down to 5%. But Councilmember Martin, I don't know if you want to jump in on some of the other conversations you've had.
Yes, I reached out to the Director of Finance, Director Jones, and she shared information regarding the organization that the City Traffic and Traffic Violation Department uses. And with that organization, they have a 2.75 to 3% fee. And she is in contact with the police departments, and they're evaluating to make sure that the contract that they offer is something they can take up. So that's still in the works, and they have all the information. And at this time, they are pondering if it's something that would work to meet the service needs for people paying bail.
Thank you. So that's an exciting update. I'll say that, I'm hoping to have an answer this month so that we can move forward. I don't want to have a lapse in service for the community. So trying to figure that out, hopefully in short order, we're able to. But it is an exciting reason to hold that legislation. So thank you for the push on that. Chairperson Harris, the Recreation and Human Services, any updates you want to share?
There was not that much legislation this upcoming, cycle. There was just only 4 items. As you know, that we're still working on the PIC team. Mary Loopy and I just recently had a PIC advisory committee meeting, and she did share with you all the notes, and pretty much highlights from that is that they're still working on the DASH system, the dashboard. There are some data points that they like to make sure that's accurate, as well as integrate some of the ambulance responses as well into that. And then I guess Council Vice President Lupien, I also identified that, she'd like to make sure the data shows the true PIC response. And Vice President Lupien, is she on?
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah, if there is anything else I'm missing, you can add if you'd like.
The only other thing from that meeting from the PIC Advisory Committee is that there was a recent evaluation done, and we were given the executive summary, but are waiting for the actual report to review. And at this time, they're not going to release it to the public, but I think that there's the potential in the future to do that.
Thank you kindly for sharing that. For the most part, I'm looking forward to working with the Neighborhood Business Development Commissioner Green and her team. We're working on some workforce development ideas and how to enhance what's already been done by President Melendez, and just continue to work.
Thank you. Sorry, motorcycle can't help that. All right, so with that, I'll jump us to a few updates for the council office. We've been having some conversations about an internal shared calendar. More or less, someone from the team can jump in on this, but we are creating a calendar that everyone can access, including, I believe, including aides, to be able to see when the conference rooms are booked, when the council chambers is booked, or that there'll be some level of access to some of these things. Some of it we might require staff to check in on it, but just to make it more efficient at the office. And then also we've been talking about having, for those interested, some additional professional development tech sessions around the tools that we use in the office, Outlook, Excel, et cetera. Mostly Outlook focused. And so more information on those things will be forthcoming. But I think James or Katie, if there's anything to add to that.
On Wednesday, there's going to be a tech session with aides, and I want to thank Katie and Beth for kind of taking that on, and they're going to spearhead that. So we're hopeful that getting everyone's aides a little more tech savvy can help the council members as well. And I know that Katie and Beth had planned to tape it, so there'd be the ability for people to watch it subsequently. And then we're also going to try and schedule some opportunities if people want a little more intensive tech training to schedule that as well, and impart the knowledge that we've got in the office here. And the calendars, hopefully this will be something that's more efficient, having one Outlook calendar sort of as a master calendar for everything. And everyone will have access to that. And then also already we do 208A, and city council chambers will be added as another scheduling, but that would be more for the staff here in the council office and the clerk's office. But it should mean that we're able to have a pretty good handle on what's scheduled and what isn't. Although we already do. I don't want to imply that we don't, because we already do have a really good handle on that. It's just one way to make it a little easier to cross-train staff, et cetera. And so that's one other piece that we have in the works. Any questions about that stuff, though, just let us know. And I think it's pretty remarkable the level of tech savvy that Katie has. She missed her calling as an IT person. She said no, but definitely we've got a good handle on that stuff. So
awesome. So we'll go round robin now on various boards and commissions. So I'll call them in a specific order. If we're missing a council member, I'll skip over it. So 333, Vice President Lupien and Councilmember Smith, any update to share there?
We sent around a survey to get meeting dates, discuss kind of the goals that we want to get out of the meeting and pertinent issues to each body. And so I've gotten the response back from almost everyone. And we've scheduled our regular meeting dates starting in May. So, we'll be deciding our purpose, meeting together, outside of financial updates and learning how we can collaborate together. So I'm very excited.
Very good. All right, action for a better community. Councilmember Martin, have you had your first meeting yet?
So I have not. The last meeting was on the 23rd, and unfortunately it coincided with the anniversary of the Daniel Prude killing, so I wasn't able to attend. However, we do have an annual meeting on the 25th that I plan on being at and sharing updates then.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Monroe County Board of Health, at the last meeting, our numbers were going down and now our numbers are going back up. So I'm assuming there'll be some updates on strategy there coming up, but there was not much to report from the last meeting. So we'll move on to, I know we talked about the Crisis Intervention Services Advisory Team meeting already. If there's nothing else to add there, then I'll go to the Indigenous Peoples Day Planning Committee. Councilmember or Vice President Lupien.
Yes, we've been working with the planning committee to identify potential language for a resolution. And they're reviewing it right now. And once we get a little bit more feedback from them, we'll be sending that out to the rest of the council for your feedback. But I think we're aiming for May, if I'm not mistaken, May or June.
Yeah, we're looking at the possibility of doing it before or after budget, but not waiting, deep into the summer. So something should be coming before the council in the next, I'll say, 3 months.
What I'm not quite understanding that, because I think we already did Indigenous Peoples Day, didn't we? I thought Mayor Lovely Warren did.
That was a yearly proclamation. This is going to be a resolution making the day permanent.
So that would be the difference, the distinction. So we would celebrate this in the city of Rochester every year. We can have further discussion on that, absolutely, as we move forward. Vice President, New American Advisory Council.
Yes, as I reported last month, we had our first meeting and we identified 3 different committees focused on areas of importance, and those committees have started meeting. The committee that I'm on met while I was away, so I don't have any updates from that one. But they're all jumping headfirst into the work, which is really important. And some of the issue areas are mental health, housing, education, which includes, learning the language. So I will provide more updates as I have them.
Vice President, a quick question. Are there any written notes or anything that can be shared with the council at some point?
I can ask for the notes from all of the committees to be forwarded to me so I can send them along to you guys.
Thank you. Councilmember Smith, Police Advisory Board. Or Police Accountability Board, I should say. Advisory Board.
Yeah, so quick summary of that. As everyone knows, they have lost 2 board members, and the process for filling those positions has started. And next, mark your calendars for April 14th, where we will be having a work session where they will present on updates. What time will that be, Katie? Is it 5 or 4:30?
I believe it's 4:30. Yep, 4:30.
Yeah, so they'll have a work session April 14th at 4:30, work session where hopefully they'll be able to answer a lot of the questions and give some exciting updates on what they've been working on.
Good. Okay, Redco, Councilmember Pio, any update?
No, I mean, besides normal, let me go back through my notes here, sorry. They did have an increase of garage fires. I think that a lot more people are starting to cook outdoors and cooking too close to their garages. But other than that, nothing that would be more pertinent to us.
How does Redco step into that garage fire incident? What is their
I'm sorry,
role?
I thought you meant the fire advisory board. Sorry about that.
Oh, no,
Redco,
okay.
I have not been, from the meeting that I saw, and I wish Councilmember Patterson was on here to elaborate more on it. What I saw was they voted to limit the amount of people that can be voted on to Redco or appointed to Redco by the mayor and city council to one each. Meaning one person would be put on by city council, one person would be put on by the mayor. That's what I saw. I'm not sure if Councilmember Patterson saw something different from me, but I didn't see myself getting voted on.
We will follow up with that.
Appreciate that.
Thanks. Okay, Councilmember Harris, any update on the land bank? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, we basically met shortly after that you guys had the annual update. There's not much change in the annual updates other than that we have to reestablish, board chair and, the seats, officer seats. We just reapproved those. And then we're looking at trying to figure out how we can look at increasing our board member status, like increasing the number of board members that can serve. I guess the maximum number is 11. So right now we have currently 7. So we're looking at that and comparing it to other land banks across the country. And in the meantime, we're looking forward to purchasing more properties so we can turn them over and allow them to be a part of our different programs like the home buyers program that we have already submitted to you guys. Looking forward to the next few meetings and still working on that process.
Councilmember Harris, do you know if there will be an auction this year? And I haven't
Yes.
heard for sure. Okay.
Yes, there will be an auction this year, and we also, the other piece of that I'd like to let you know is we voted on having members. We have a separate committee, a committee that is an acquisition committee. I'm a part of that acquisition committee, and there are some additional members to the acquisition committee. Aaron Van Dusen has been appointed a new board member, so he's a part of that acquisition committee. And we're looking forward to taking part of that process once it rolls out. I think it's coming out soon. The city's gonna be rolling on the list soon, very soon. And we'll keep you posted. I'll send out minutes from the last meeting, the minutes from the February meeting and the March meeting. I've been having computer problems, so I'll get those out as soon as I get that resolved.
Thank you for that. Okay, Convention Center, I did miss this very last meeting. I had a conflict. It wasn't on my calendar for some reason. So I don't have a ton of updates other than I know they're starting to meet in person again, which they're excited about. And there is a desire and actually they're seeing more conventions come to Rochester. So it's starting to see an uptick in the amount of folks that are interested in using the center. And by the way, that's where our retreat will be. So I'm excited to do that there. Our MAPI, Councilmember Smith, any update to share there?
Yeah, some exciting updates. So I am on the housing committee as well as the policy committee, and we know that currently we are in the state's budget process, and two of the objectives under housing is affordability and equity. So what the housing group did is they sent in a letter of support for two pieces of state legislation that will really benefit our Rochester community. So they wrote letters of support for HAVP, the Housing Access Voucher Program, which is a Section 8-like model, but it is more inclusive. And then they wrote a letter in support of HONDA, House Our Neighbors with Dignity Act, which really speaks to the conversion of distressed hotels and retail spaces for 100% affordable housing units. And both of them are looking good in the state budget. And on the policy committee, they've got 4 things that they want to work on. They are working on the raise the wage to $15. They are working on equitable, making more equitable and inclusive decisions, especially around how the government money, how the COVID money has come in from government and how that money should be spent. They're also talking more about how, what policies exist that could do more of an investment with families. And they are working on, and this is one of my favorite, decriminalizing poverty and more community investment. So lots of wonderful things going on with both of those groups in our mapping.
Thank you. A quick question for you related to Honda. If it does pass in the state budget, will that be a statewide effort or will that be focused on a particular section of the state? I know that previously it was New York City, so just get a sense of how that might impact us.
Yeah, so it's a bit confusing because last year around budget session, there was $140 million that was set aside specifically for a New York City program, but there was no legislation attached to that budget item. So advocates worked hard to make sure that the legislation that got attached to that budget item was legislation where the jurisdictions across the state could benefit, and that legislation did pass. And so the fight this coming session was about putting more money into the budget so that a municipality outside of New York City could access that money. And so once the budget comes out, we know that there's been a delay because of bail reform, thank God. So once that budget does come out, we want to make sure that that money is in there, and then it is going to be prime time for us as council members to think about identifying a spot here in Rochester and how that money can be used, because many municipalities are going to fight for a project in their jurisdiction. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, thank you. Okay, Councilmember Martin, Youth Board.
So they still haven't had a meeting yet. Last month they were trying to get one scheduled, but people's schedules didn't work out. So I'm still waiting for an update regarding when the next one will be.
And I guess it's not on the agenda, but systems integration, have they followed up as well with you yet? Okay, well, I'll check in on that. Okay. And then the Housing Trust Fund, I know we have an item before us in NBD this month related to home ownership and readiness for home ownership. I also know that in conversations with the mayor, there's been some discussion about adding resources to the Housing Trust Fund to accommodate other requests. The committee has been looking at TPAP and TOPA. They've been looking at different other different models that could be also funded through this mechanism. So more to come on that. I don't think we'll see those things probably this month or next, but hopefully within the budget, we'll also start to see some allocations to the Housing Trust Fund.
Yeah. Question?
Yes.
President Melendez, can we get some additional information around some of those requests of what will be added, like more information on TOPA?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a meeting, I think, next week with the committee, and I can ask for the information, but also bring it up in the meeting as well.
A work session would be great.
We will work to schedule something. Okay, any other quick items? This will be like the fastest chairs meeting in history. Which I'm sure everyone would love 30 minutes of their life back. So if there's nothing else, thanks everyone. This is great updates today. We'll see you soon.